Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into something every React developer should have in their toolkit: forms in React. You have definitely seen this before, whether it is signing up for a new service, filling up some survey, or creating an account on some popular app. But how do you build the one from scratch? What is the best way to make it both user-friendly and maintainable? That's exactly what we are covering today. First things first, what exactly are we building? Our form consists of 3 steps, much like a wizard. First step is basic user information. Second step, user address details. And the third one is summary and confirmation. We will use a React hook form and YAP to manage state and validation properly, and also we will use Tailwind CSS to make it look nice. I will also explain how to handle navigation between steps without losing form data. I have already prepared a demo project. It's a React app with Vite, TypeScript and Tailwind CSS, so you can see this in a package.json file dependencies. And in your project, to be able to build that form, you need to install next dependencies. You will need hook form resolvers. Also, you will need React hook form and YAP. Basically, that's it. Let's have a quick overview of the future project structure. So we will have 3 components, which is going to be steps of our form. And also we will create a form context, which actually will be responsible for that steps transition and handling the form logic. Let's start and implement first form context. Here is a form context. So in the beginning of that file, we define some types. So here we have form data type, where we specify the fields we need in our form is going to be name, email, city and country. And the next one is form context type. Here we specify data using that type form data, and also we have callback set form values. After that, we define some default initial data and we assign empty strings to these values. In the next step, we define form context, and for that we're using from React create context, and we pass here form context type as well. Then we create use form data custom hook, which returns that context. And also we have check just to make sure that use form data must be used within form provider. And in the last step, you see that form provider, it receives children as a prop because it's supposed to wrap the whole app. In the beginning of this form provider, we have use state, where we set state of the form data, and we pass here our default data, the one which we define here. Then we had set form values, a function which is triggering the state update, and we expose this set form values here. And that's it. That's the basic setup of form provider. Of course, it can be more complex, depends on the case, but everything is managed here, so it's easy to maintain and scale it in that way. The next thing we need to do is to import form provider to our app component and then to wrap all content inside that form provider. Now we can proceed with creating the components of form steps. So let's do it now. I have already created steps components. So we have here step 1, step 2 and step 3. So now let's go and take a look at them one by one. Here is step 1 component. So inside that component, we need to import use form from React hook form, also YAP resolver, YAP itself, and use form data from our form context. Then we need to define some types. So here we define props of the component. So it will have only next callback to go to the next step. Also here we define type form values. This is going to be the form values of that current step, and in that case it will be name and email. The next thing, we need to define validation schema using YAP object shape, and then here we pass our name and email, and also we specify some rules. We say that both are going to be strings, name is required, and this is the validation message. And here we say that this is going to be email and it is also required, and here is the validation message that email is required. Then we go to step component itself. So in the beginning we use that custom hook use form data, and from that custom hook we use data and set form values. Then we using that use form hook, and from that use form hook we will need a register, handle submit and form state just to identify some errors. In that use form as well, we pass some parameters. It's going to be the default values, name and email, and then we pass our validation schema. And the next thing, we need to define the onSubmit function, which is going to receive form values here. Then we need to pass that form values to the global state, to that our form context. And then we need to call next callback to go forward to the next step. Let's take a look as well to the markup of that component. So here we define form element, and on submit we call that handle submit, and we pass that function on submit we just defined here. Then this is our inputs. So we have input, which has that register method, which is registering our field name itself. And then we have email with a same logic. Also in both cases we handling errors. We show some message here in case if there is some error happened. And in the bottom we have button, which is gonna submit that data. Let's move on now to the step 2 component. Step 2 component is pretty much the same as a step 1, but here we have some additional values. So in terms of imports, you can see that everything is the same, but the difference is here. So also we will have additional button, which is going to be back button, so we can return to the previous step. Then in form values, we will have city and country. So validation schema is pretty much similar, just 2 strings and both of them required. In the beginning of the step 2 component, we use the same custom hook use form data, from where we get data and set form values function. Also here in use form hook, we also use register, handle submit and form state, and we pass default values city and country, and also we pass validation schema. OnSubmit function is the same as in the step 1, and the markup is almost the same. Only here at the bottom we have additional button, which is back button and calls back callback. Now let's move on to the step 3, which is summary and confirmation. The last step is the most simple out of 3. So in props of the step we just have the back callback. And in the beginning of the step itself, we use form data hook, and we need this custom hook just only to get the data. Then we have that handle final submit function, which is gonna alert form submitted, and also we can output in console whatever is submitted, the data itself. And in the markup, we just display that data for name, email, city, and country, getting it from the data from use form data hook. And then here we have 2 buttons. The last one is submit, which calls that handle final submit, and the button back, which is gonna return us to the previous step. That's all for steps component. Now we need to import these steps to our app component, and here they are. Also we need to add the use state to app component with the initial value of 1, which means that when app component is rendered, we will start with the first step in our multi-steps form. And then we have that conditional rendering, which renders the proper step. And also it is important to not forget to pass that props. So here in next we pass set step 2, and in the step 2 we pass set step 3, and in terms if user clicks back, we need to set step to 1. And here we have only back prop, and here we just returning user to the previous step, which is going to be set step 2. That's it. So all setup is ready. So now it's time to go to the browser and test it out. And here is it, our multi-step form. And the first thing we can do to test it out, we should press that next button without filling the form. Great, now we tested that our error handling works fine, so it doesn't allow us to proceed if input values are empty. Let's try to fill up this data, and let's try to put invalid email. So name, let it be test, and let's put test as well into the email field. Great, so now let's try to submit. And as you see, our, again, error handling worked. So it shows us that this is invalid email and we should type the proper one. Let's do that. Great, so let's try to proceed now. Great, now you see that we have different input fields, so now we need to enter city and country. But for example, we realized that we made some mistake previously. We can go back, let's try. Yeah, that works, and as you see, the data still remains here. Okay, let's go back to the step 2. Let's enter this data first. Perfect, so let it be Dubai and United Arab Emirates. Let's proceed further. And here is it, all our data we just entered, but still let's try to go back and change, let's say, city and country. Let it be London, UK for now. And as you see, in our confirmation, data has changed. Let's try to submit it. Here we have our alert, and also in console, we have the data we just submitted. Perfect. And that's it for today. We've built a sleek and functional multi-form using React, React Hook Form, and Yup, and I hope you learned today something new. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to not miss next dev insights, and also let me know in the comment how do you like the content, how do you like the way I explained, and also let me know your thoughts about React Hook Form or any alternatives you used and you want to share your experience. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.